I guess I'm too early.
Yep. Oh, shimmy.
You know, you're getting some old lady fat now.
They're gonna take you off their mailing list pretty soon. Keep up, sending everything back.
Yeah. Thing is, it's, let's see, $6 cheaper. No, more than that. $14 cheaper.
So what's all this paperwork we have to fill out for Dr. Altiero there? What's all the paperwork we have to fill out for him?
What? It's a very different form than what we're used to. So when we have time, I'll have to sit down with you.
All right.
Did it stop raining again?
It's gonna stop. It's already starting to rain again. You said you had a shirt and pants?
Yeah, I'm keeping the shirt. I'll have to take that and somehow. I wish they did this different. It's too narrow. I don't know how to put it on so that they get it. I gotta blank this all out, I guess.
Yeah. You know that black not masking tape, duct tape I have?
Yeah,
You know where it is?
yep. I'll have to do that.
Actually, I got time. I can go get it. Yeah, I could start from the.
I gotta,
I'll bring it up.
I gotta go down. I'll be with the dog and I'm
Okay.
gonna call Doris while you're. I gotta take this phone though, because I can hear better on this one.
Yeah.
So, phone rings,
You'll get it?
it's ringing, that's because nobody I want to pick up on.
Okay.
You hear me?
That's the phone rings.
If it keeps ringing, you'll know it's somebody that I don't want to pick up
Yeah,
on,
okay,
so.
okay.
You put my basket downstairs?
Yeah, it's down by the washing machine.
Hey, Peter.
Are you, Lenny?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm still here.
Attaboy.
Still here.
Happy 4th of July.
Hey, you too. Thank you.
Hello, Bob. Bob.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah,
You gotta get it on early in case I had any technical difficulties.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're too short and got 11 minutes, so we got plenty of time.
Yeah.
What you been doing, Peter?
Oh, keeping my garden growing. I got it back. We're picking blueberries now. Strawberries are done.
Yeah, I've seen signs for people, selling blueberries, but none of mine have come out yet.
Yeah, I picked half a pint the other day, and I could go out there now and probably pick a pint.
Huh.
They're ready. Raspberries are ripening now too, come to think of it. I picked a couple of those the other day.
Man,
You're early. My blueberries haven't turned blue yet. Got some
Yeah.
coming, but they're not yet.
There's a few starting right now. So
you got a green thumb, Peter. That's why.
well, this year has been good. Everything is so green this year. We're getting just enough rain to keep things going.
Yeah.
So, in fact, it's raining out here right now a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Something happened to my peach trees because we must have had a little cold snap because I don't see much activity on those trees.
we did, and it sort of thinned out the fruit on peaches. In fact, because they were starting to bud out when all of a sudden we got some freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
And that kind of, like I say, thinned out the blossoms. So,
Yeah.
I mean, last year I was loaded with peaches. This year I only got half as many.
I hope I get a third of what I had last year. I'd be happy, but I don't know.
I got a brother who lives in Suffield, and he was bragging about his peach tree the other day. And then he went back out and looked, and he found only 5 peaches and also 3 squirrels.
Oh my gosh.
The squirrels cleaned out his peaches.
That is funny. Wow.
Gee.
Jeez. Yeah, and my neighbors got some tomatoes even. They're green, but they're coming out, but I got nothing.
I'll pick a tomato tomorrow. The first one, it's half ripe out there today.
Jeez.
But I'll pick one tomorrow.
Are they getting a lot of sun or water or what?
I have been watering. Yeah, I've been watering.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're in the sun. We're picking squash now.
Boy.
In
Maybe,
fact,
maybe,
I reached underneath the potato and stole some potatoes from the potato plant today.
jeez,
Yeah, I just reached in there and pulled them out.
gee.
So everything's starting to come along.
Yeah, I think maybe I put them in a little bit late. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
still hopeful.
they'll come along. They'll come
Yeah.
along.
We got a lot of lettuce and parsley and basil and all that. That's good.
And that's all good staples. But
Yeah. I only planted one cucumber plant and some little critter dug it up 3 times.
Yeah.
Just that one plant. I can't believe it.
Huh.
Isn't that weird?
That's right. We picked our first cucumber already the other day too.
Man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, everything's coming along.
Yeah. You got any vacations planned this summer?
Not till September. September is our anniversary date. In fact, this year it's going to be 52.
Wow.
Also, my birthday, I'll be 83. So we go down to New Jersey on the shore for a week or 2.
Yeah.
So it's right on it's Point Pleasant is the name of the place we go.
Yep. Yeah.
It's nice down there.
Yeah. Huh.
So anyway, while we can still do it, we go.
Hey, you're driving down there by yourself, everything's good.
Yeah. So I still can drive. Hey, I did it for a living.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah, I did it for a living.
Any news from Jack?
Jack Barkley?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I was just thinking about him the other day. I was wondering
Yeah.
if you knew anything.
No. I do miss him.
I wonder what happened.
I don't know. I used to stay in contact with him. I saw Ray several months ago. Yeah. And he's just said he was slowing down. He must have had some physical problem or something.
Huh.
And we didn't know about it. And he didn't tell anybody. And
that's too bad.
but nobody's we're not that close anymore because we don't talk to each other on any kind of basis. So
no, I know it. You're right.
It's just so busy. Everybody's busy.
What about that other guy up there in Westford?
Gary.
Gary, yeah, where is he?
Jeez. I don't know. I mean, every time I call there, if we need somebody, the phone either just takes a message or, I mean, he'll come on if we tell him.
Yeah.
But, so at least we've got a little backup if we need it. But yeah. Luckily, we got some new people. So
you know what? I went down to the town hall. Was it last Friday to get all the paperwork for this meeting? Because my computer won't print anything out anymore.
Huh.
And she says, I can't give you any because I don't have it. Well, who next got the paperwork for these meetings?
Oh, which paperwork now?
Just the agenda for one thing. All right, now.
Yeah, that should have been posted last week because I actually did the agenda and then I sent it to the first selectman. I gave you guys a copy anyways.
But I can't print it.
Oh, okay. So I gave it to the first selectman, then they turned it over to get it, to have the Zoom stuff put on it. Yeah. And then they told me that they had posted it, but I don't think I found it either, but I know I gave a copy to everybody and I gave it to the town and I gave it a copy to Joe too, just to make sure we didn't miss anything.
Yeah, it showed up, of course, on the computer, but when I go to print, it won't print.
My goodness, is your printer hooked up or has it got ink in it?
No, it's, I have to download it. And then from there, I try to print and
Yeah.
For some reason, because it's a Microsoft Word or it just doesn't recognize it or something. And it won't print.
Wow. Yeah, that's strange.
So
Anything else? Can you print anything?
I can print from everything else, like, but when it comes to stuff coming from the wetland or the town hall, I can't
Yeah.
print anything that comes from the town hall.
That's,
So
that's weird. Yeah.
now I got a copy of our blueprints here because I went and got those for the last meeting.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm going over them pretty good. So,
Yeah. Did you get a chance to go out there?
oh yeah, I went up. In fact, I talked to two of
Tom?
the residents up there, and they
Tom.
showed me the damage, that happened, last
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
wait till we have our meeting. So I got to.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi,
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Did you have a good 4th of July?
I didn't do anything special.
No.
No.
No. So, let's see. So we got 3. Ann Miller. Let me see if I could give Cheryl a call real quick. Hey, Mike.
How are you, Len?
Good. Just giving Cheryl a call. Let me see if we can get it.
Your call has been forwarded to an.
There you are.
Broadcasting.
Hi, Cheryl.
Computer's
Cheryl, you there? Yeah. All right. Tom, how are you?
Hi, Lenny. How are you?
Good. All right. Got one more minute. All right. Okay, 7 o'clock. We got a quorum. So we'll get started. Hopefully a few more will join us. What's that? Okay, so I wanna open the, I'm sorry, what was that? Okay, want to open the Town of Ashford Inland Wetland and Watercourse Commission regularly scheduled meeting agenda for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Item number 1, I'm getting a little feedback. I don't know why. It's echoing.
Yeah, Len, a few people aren't muted. If everybody could just mute when you're not speaking.
There you go. That's better. Okay, item number 1 is seating of alternates. Bob, we'll have you seat for Jack Barkley. And Mike, we'll have you seated for Gary. Okay, Valerie?
Yes,
Thank you. Okay, item number 2 is to review and approve the minutes of the June 7th, 2022 meeting. Did everybody get a copy of that?
Yeah.
And everybody take a look at it?
I move we accept them as presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve them as, do we have any questions or comments? None, okay. All those in favor of the minutes as presented?
It hasn't been seconded yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Second it. Yeah, we need a second. Cheryl, you good? Cheryl second it. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 3 is additions to the agenda. I don't have any, but I'll give you some comments later on. Does anybody have anything additions, by the way? No? Okay. Item number 4 is old business. A is 96 Knott Highway. And Joe had given us a report on that last time. And basically he said that that there was some activity out there. Apparently the fencing was not going per the specifications, and that it will need to be corrected, and some other things. The signage is not up and plantings are not done yet either. Let's see, Joe and Bruce Fitzback, our new wetland agent, were supposed to go out there and look at it together. Now, Bruce Fitzback, he was approved at the selectmen's meeting, but they felt that they needed to have some kind of an agreement between the town and him. Joe never had one, but they felt like they needed one. So I actually prepared it, gave it to them, and they accepted it. And they said that they were thinking about having a special meeting to get Bruce on board, but apparently that never happened, or I was not aware of it. So unfortunately, right now we don't have a wetland agent, but I have had several conversations with Bruce and Joe over the last month, so they're in sync. So hopefully this transition will go smooth. I wish we could have had him today, but anyway, Joe was actually at the town hall a couple times. He fielded a couple questions for us, and so so far this month, or last month anyway, we're in good shape. So just getting back to 96 Knott Highway, since we don't have either Joe or Bruce with us, and they were the ones assigned to take a look at it, unless somebody else has any questions or comments, I think we'll let this go for another month. Valerie, there was one sentence in there that I liked. It said, once the final inspection is made and all is satisfactory, then the notice of violation will be lifted. So I'd like to just, put that sentence back in there, and, we'll move this to next month unless anybody has any questions or comments. So I'll start with Mike. Do you have anything you want to? None? Peter?
No, nothing more. We just
Okay.
tabled it for this week, this month.
Okay. Cheryl, how about you? You good? Okay, so I don't think we need a vote, but all those in favor of moving this to next month and putting that one sentence in there about the final inspection, you guys are all in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll table that for this month, and hopefully we'll have some action next month. And that brings us to item number B under old business, and that's the Ashford Lake Association construction of drainage features on Ashford Lake. Now, I've been sending everybody pictures, videos. Tom was kind enough to send me a bunch of information, and Joe had mentioned to everybody that there were full-size plans in the town hall, and you can make arrangements to get down there. Hopefully they didn't take the last one, but they're all there. There should be at least one set of plans still in the town hall. So I know that most of you guys have gone out there. We did not go out all together, so we never had a quorum, and so we won't have any formal meeting notes. But I would like to go around the room just briefly. Give me your general assessment of what you saw out there. I know, Mike, you had quite a lot to say. I don't want to talk about the court. That's a separate issue altogether. we're just focusing on Ashford Lake Drive. So with that, Mike, why don't you give us just a quick overview? We already saw everything, but just quickly.
Sure. Thanks, Lenny. So I completely understand the logic behind trying to replace those pipes and add another pipe to go through there to handle the larger events. The main gist of my comments, I guess, was if you're going to be making these modifications to the swale anyway, why not try to make an improvement to the swale that will actually do something to protect the lake quality a little bit more? Because as it sits right now, though, even with a small storm, so when I went out there, it was just after an inch of rain, and it was clear that most of that water was running right through that swale, out the pipe and into the lake. So, again, if you're going to be making these modifications to the swale anyway, my suggestion was to try to make it what we would call a water quality swale, something that's designed to slow that water down a little bit and let those smaller events sink in along the way. So there are designs for that. The Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual has specifications for those types of things. Most engineers are quite familiar with those as well. And they're updating the Stormwater Quality Manual right now. So the new version should be out shortly. But the old design for those types of things is certainly reasonable, I would say. So that was my main suggestion, is just, if you're making these changes anyway and doing work in the swale, it's probably not going to cost you any more money. I don't know. I didn't do the side-by-side comparison, but it in theory should be easier to maintain if it's just a grass water quality swale rather than the riprap. I did see some other riprap swales that are up there, and they're tough to keep the sediment out of. They kind of clog up and they don't look the greatest. So having a grass swale that could just be cut as like a lawn, but have the sediment be cleaned out more easily on a regular basis, that was what I was thinking. So that's basically the gist of it.
Okay, thank you. Peter, I know you were out there. What did you see?
Yeah, in fact, the day I went, I ran into two of the residents who, witnessed the overflow of that swale last summer. In fact, they said two of the homes down below were flooded, so something does have to be done. And this plan here, I like what Mike just said about a grass swale too, because on page 9 of the plans, there's a list of maintenance, what has to be done to keep this thing working in the right way. And a grass swale just might make it better instead of riprap, because riprap in time, especially with Oak Drive, which is not paved, will fill full of sediment. So I kind of agree with Mike just said.
Okay. Thank you. Cheryl, how about you?
Yeah, so thank you. We actually, I was out there with Bruce and Rick, and apparently Peter, you were around the corner from us, and so we didn't see you. So we were in different places, unfortunately, but so we were out on the same day. But and I agree with what Peter has said and what Mike has said about the site. The only other thing that I noticed when I was out there was, and it's on the plan as well, but it drew attention to it for me, was there's a retaining wall that goes across the or next to the lake on lot 40, and it doesn't really mention. I mean, the pipe on the plan is going to be going right through it, so the plan doesn't mention anything about the retaining wall, whether it's going to be removed or the pipe, slotted into it or anything like that. So that was the only thing I really noticed in the field that other folks have not mentioned. And with regard to the water quality manual, I wanted to reiterate that that there is a current design in the 2004 stormwater quality manual, which is found on pages P5 1 through 8. Or 11 P5 1 through 8. So the design is already kind of there to be used. I was also expecting to see a narrative from the engineer. I think we talked about that at the last meeting, but I didn't see anything So we were a little bit at a disadvantage of the site walk, not having that information or not having someone from the applicant or the engineer there. So.
Okay. As long, I'll save mine for just a minute. So we have two other, Ann Milner. Are you there, Ann?
Yes, I am.
No, who do you represent? Or
I live on Ashford Lake Drive.
okay, all right, all right. Are you one of the two houses where the pipes go in between?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Are you more closer to Campert Drive and Campert Lane, or are you on closer to this?
I'm closer to Campert Lane.
Okay, all right. So you're not here to talk about Ashford Lake?
Just to listen.
Oh, okay. And how about the other one, the DJ?
Yeah, my name is Tom Judson. I also live on Ashford Lake. I'm on the board of directors of the Ashford Lake Property Owners Association.
Okay.
I'm here to listen as well.
Okay. All right. So, well, let me tell you. So I did send the plans to Sil Pauly, who is the engineer for NECOG. And it took a while. He had some computer problems, but eventually he did say that he got them and he was going to take a look at them and get back to us. But unfortunately, he did not, at least as of today. So he did give us a few comments on Campert Lane and Campert Drive. So I'm going to just leave that to, maybe member comments or something. Just somebody remind me so I don't forget it, because I do have a little update on that. But anyway, getting back to this. So he did not give me anything. Tom was kind enough to just point out, look, the engineer's name and phone number is on the plans. And, instead of me and Tom going between everybody, just have the engineer call him directly if it would help speed things up. So I don't know if he did it or not. I was on vacation all last week, but I had my computer, so I never saw anything, but I never made any phone calls either. So, but I did go out and I spent a lot of time with Tom, and we looked at, first this particular application. And Tom did point out to me that, geez, there's a lot of pipes going across Ashford Lake Drive there. This is not the only one. There's three, four other ones, I think. And, they're similarly constructed, so, I guess what I'm saying is that the things that we're suggesting at this point are doable, and I don't think they're extraordinary. I don't know how the plan that we have in front of us matches up with the stormwater quality, state plans. But that's what I was hoping that Sil Pauly could tell us. And then, so I don't really have much more to add than what you guys already said, but I'd like Tom to give us an update where you stand. I know that you were going to talk to your engineer, and what Cheryl said was correct. We did want more of a narrative on the plan, and I don't recall seeing anything from you. So have you spoken to him?
I talked to him on the phone, and I asked him about attending this virtual meeting, and he is away and can't be here today.
Right.
He will provide narrative responses to specific questions. He didn't seem so inclined to, compose some kind of a narrative overview of everything that's depicted on the plan, because he figured, well, I assume he figured people would understand the plan and answer some of the potential questions. But I can get narratives from him, and I'm sure he's familiar with the document that you've been referring to, the stormwater management plan or something. I'm not, but I'm sure he is. he may in fact have taken all of that into account in this design. I don't know, but if the committee needs responses to specific questions, I can have him provide narrative responses to those questions when he comes back. I would like to make a couple of comments on some of your observations, though, if I could. I don't know if you want to do that
Yep,
now.
no, go ahead.
Okay. I know that the question was raised about water treatment in this plan. That and as far as grassy swales go, we have some grassy swales. We've tried grassy swales. They're great when they work, and they pretty much in severe storms just get eroded and washed away, depending on the location and the grade and et cetera. But the issue with and I'm talking now about phase 1 and this whole big plan in 2 phases is designed around phase 1 solving our problem and phase 2 being a contingency to go to if we need to do further improvements on the drainage situation. But in phase 1, the swale on Ashford Lake Drive, which is a grassy swale, the issue with that swale is it's literally a level swale, and we've been monkeying around with this for years now. And if we have an open swale, and to get the pitch going in whatever direction we want our water to flow, we're going to have an extraordinarily deep trench on the side of the road, because the way it runs now, it's pretty level. That's pretty much why it overflowed in part, although the single pipe couldn't handle the volume of water. It also came over the road because it doesn't go anywhere. It sits there and gets higher and higher and higher, not draining, and then overtops the road in the worst case scenario. So that section of grassy swale is actually, the majority of it, if you look at the plan on phase 1, is going to be underground in 15-inch perforated pipe with stone on top. And there's a couple of catch basins to collect sediment before it reaches the lake. There's one particular, I don't even know what this means, but I know what it is. The plan designates whatever this item is as STM MH203, and then there's some other numbers and letters, but what it is a concrete catch basin. I don't know what those numbers might be, the dimensions or something, and it has a manhole cover on the top to clean out. So when the water is leaving Ashford Lake Drive and entering the 18-inch pipe under the road, it's going to drop into this concrete compartment, and then it's going to continue on down to the lake. And when it reaches the outlet, then it's into riprap. So there's really not a lot of riprap in the level swale. A couple of on the ends, perhaps, I guess. I'm not sure, but I can get specifics from the engineer, but treating the water is definitely taken into account, because that's obviously our major concern with all of our drainage at every point all around the lake.
Okay.
So I hope that offers a little bit of clarification.
Yeah. So the way I kind of see it is that, this is a lake association project. Obviously, they're aware of the problem. They're spending good money on engineering and on, coming before us. And certainly, I can't imagine you guys doing something that might not work, you know? So I think if the engineer were here and he could, you know, just give us an overview about, you know, how does this plan that he has match up with, you know, the state, you know, stormwater management regulations. And, you know, I would just like to be sure that everything that's in that manual that's applicable to this, that they've at least addressed it. Maybe they didn't do everything, but they addressed it, and he feels confident that this is gonna at least help you guys.
What is that document or that manual called specifically, so I can?
Stormwater quality management.
Stormwater Quality Manual. Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual, 2004.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be an update, but I don't know if that's done or not, but
It's almost ready.
yeah.
Is
But
that a DEEP document? Or?
yeah,
It is.
it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he's aware of it. So that's our main concern. And then since he's not here, our own wetland agent is not here. The NECOG, you know, engineer never got back to us. I'm hoping that, you know, this is only the first meeting we've had, so we still have one more month before we have to, you know, make any kind of decision. So I want to go around the room. That was my only question that I think Tom could put back to the engineer. And then I'll go around the room, and Tom, you can take notes, and then, you know, maybe we can get a motion to just move this along till next month. But I'll start with Mike.
Can I make one more?
Sure.
Let me
Go ahead.
mention one more thing before we get
Yep.
there. I did get a contact from the Wyndham Waterworks. When they received the plan, they called me and they came out and I met them. And I
Okay.
showed the full plan, and we kind of walked the whole area, actually all the way down to, from the beach all the way down to the spillway. And they had no recommendations. I kind of think they just wanted to come out and get out of the office because they literally they thought everything looked pretty good, and they didn't have any recommendations for us other than
Good.
what they observed.
Okay. So Valerie, please make a note of that. Okay. So Mike, go ahead if you have any other questions besides what you already said.
Sure. Yeah, I guess maybe this just gets to the point about a little bit more information, Tom, on, you know, in a little bit of a narrative form. And this doesn't have to be any kind of big write-up, but like, you know, what you're saying about this swale, I'm looking at the plan here, and I see where the pipe is. I see where the catch basin is that cuts over. This is in phase one, I'm talking, and where the new drain line goes out to the lake. But up from that point south, there's still a swale for the remainder of that section, and above it too. So it's just not clear whether that's supposed to be riprap or what. That was what I thought was implied with the cross sections that are provided later on in the plan, showing them as riprap. So you know, it's just a little unclear, I guess.
Okay.
Right. I'll get a clarification. I don't know if that's riprap. That also is quite level, and it's gonna pitch to the north, and everything else that's now gravitating to the north is going to be sent to the south.
Directed south. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. And while you're looking at that, if you see that circular thing about 2/3 of the way down that says STM MH203, that circle, that's what I was just referring to as a concrete container, like tank or something that the water drops into and settles out before it comes back up and continues to the end of the pipe. That was my understanding.
Right. Yeah. So those type of structures, the catch basins are good to have for taking some of that heavy sediment and storing it in that chamber that can hopefully be cleaned out. but they don't, it's very minimal treatment. It's like basically the bare minimum that can be done as far as treatment is concerned. That's why I was just asking about if there's any way to slow some of that water down before it gets there, let it sink in along the way. So the existing swale as it is isn't really designed to let water infiltrate. It's kind of been compacted and wasn't designed as a water quality swale in that way. So, but I understand your comments about the grades and trying to make that work. It's tricky in that regard. So I think we could figure something out.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike. Bob, do you have any questions? Yeah, Bob, we can't hear you. Bob, you're muted, Bob. Bob, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry.
Thank.
I did get out there on the 22nd and took a look at it, and I had similar comments to everyone else. I keep coming back to how would that swale have ever worked in the first place if nobody maintains it? And I think you're going to have the same problem going forward if you have a catch basin that needs to be cleaned out periodically. Okay, that's great, but who's going to do it and who's going to maintain it? And we could have the same conversation 2 years from now. But,
Tom, I think you've told us about your maintenance program out there.
Yes, in fact, we have, let me think. Let me do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 catch basins right now at different locations around the lake. And every couple of years, we have somebody come out and suck everything that collects in there out with a vacuum truck.
how full is it when you do that?
Not very. Well, it depends. Some of them have a lot and some of them don't, because a lot of the sand from the snow plow, from the treatment in the winter and stuff washes into there on the paved roads. But we don't have to do it annually. It doesn't collect that much sediment that we have to do it every year, but we do it periodically. And it was done last fall. So we do, well, what I'm saying basically is we have a pretty decent maintenance program that we stick to. Even in terms of blowing out the riprap swales and trying to keep vegetation from starting to collect in them, when the sediment gets in the rocks and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Another observation I made was that when a driveway crosses the swale, there's a pipe underneath it. In multiple locations I saw it. In both cases I saw, they were totally full of leaves. So does someone clean out the pipes going under the driveways? Because that's going to keep the water from moving.
Well, yes. On an as needed basis, we try to get the homeowners to kind of maintain their own driveway culverts, but a lot of people are negligent in that respect. Mm-hmm. So we would take care of it if there was an obstruction, obviously. But we try to get some people to kind of do their bit too.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Peter, how about you?
Okay, now I have nothing new to add because it's all just said, but I recommend we wait 1 more month on this until we hear from our engineer first too.
Okay. That brings us to Cheryl, our anchor.
That's a stretch. So yeah, I definitely think that we need to hear from the engineer, and one of the reasons is because normally, when you talked about, Tommy talked about the engineer not wanting to do a narrative of what's on the plan. That's not normally what the narrative is for. It's usually to talk about why the decisions were made to in the design. For instance, why the design storm was chosen that they chose. What happens if the pipes exceed the design storm? In other words, can the swale and the pipes safely pass something that exceeds that without causing significant erosion in the area that wasn't expected? And for instance, another thing is like the stormwater manhole that you mentioned, number 203. I'm looking at one of the profiles, the profile that shows it on sheet 7. And And there is no sump shown. So that manhole, that particular manhole that you mentioned is actually appears to just be an access point between the junction of two different pipes and not something that would actually collect sediment. So that the engineer really needs to talk about at what point, which catch basins actually have sumps and how he expects those to collect the sediment, adequately, so that the association can easily maintain the system without, too much ado. So that's basically the kind of comment that I have, and I'll look forward to hearing from him
Okay.
next week.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to imply that he didn't want to write anything. He just didn't know exactly what you were looking for. So he didn't want to just kind of make some broad comments about the design that would be general and maybe not get to those questions you just asked. So if Lenny can give me a list of specific questions, like in reference to that particular item you just were describing, or, the grassy swale issue, if I can get specifics, I can get him to write some narrative responses rather than just like an overview that might not give you what you're looking for. And I might even, if he's available, have him attend the next month meeting, and that would be much easier actually. But I think we're paying him for his time if that's the case. And I think he'd be pretty happy to just write some responses to questions.
Okay. Well, Tom, the best thing, of course, would have him be here next month. I mean, that would be ideal. If he was here today, we'd probably answered all the questions for us. But
yeah,
I'm gonna try to summarize. And if I forget somebody's question, let me know. But number one was just, how does this plan relate to the water quality manual that the state of Connecticut puts out? Number two is just to tell us about the structures that are in the design and whether or not they have catch basins, or how, if they don't have them, why. Are there sediment basins in the catch basins that would allow for settlement of the solids from going into the lake? Another question we had was on the swales themselves. I think you might just want to reiterate that Ashford Lake Association has a general maintenance plan for all of the storm crossings, and that they do it on a biannual basis, and that as a generally speaking, aside from wicked storms, that doing it every year, it's just there's not enough sediment to really make it justified, to spending the money. But every other year, apparently that does warrant you spending the money. You might want to mention that you do blow out the riprap and get rid of any things that might be growing in there that could harm it in any way. So there is a general ongoing maintenance program, every other year. You've been doing it for many years, and it's been pretty adequate. The other question was about the pitch on the swales. It is what it is. I mean, we can't make them any steeper than what they are. That's the contours of the land, and that the swales themselves are not really meant to be, or maybe the question is, are the swales meant to be any kind of a stormwater storage that would help before, to contain, the design storm before it starts going over the road and then down people's driveways and all that. So obviously, any storm that's above his design storm, it's not going to be adequate, and it's not adequate any place in the whole town for that matter. The other question they had was just, just a general observation that if, at least in the areas where pipes are crossing, and there's pipes that are underneath the driveway that maybe should be a little bit more maintained. Is that possible to do that? Is it impeding the water at all or causing other kinds of erosion that we're not aware of at this point? Did I pretty much get it, guys? Or
I think that's it, Lenny. I would just add on what Cheryl had mentioned about what happens in a bigger storm, and as far as the design storm. So Cheryl did point out, she corrected what I had said in the email, that it did say on page 10 here that the return period is 2 years, but there's no duration for that. So I don't know if that's a 2-year, 24-hour storm. Is that a 2-year, 6-hour storm?
Yeah.
So that would clarify some stuff as well. So it would be nice to see that just clarified.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if he tells us that, he's designing this for a certain size storm that's acceptable by the state of Connecticut, that, we're not asking anybody to do something beyond, what's reasonable out there for sure. And, we're not, professional engineers who are studying the plan to a point where we want to give design advice. We're just asking the question. So if he can,
right. The main issue with this just has to do with standard like culvert and pipe capacities and how much water they can actually transfer, and will it solve the problem? So we want to make sure that that pipe is of a large enough size so that it doesn't overflow in a big storm, and still cause problems for those houses there, I guess.
Right, but we'll just be clear, Mike, it's going to be designed for a storm that's typical, like a state might do. Okay. If the storm is bigger than that, it's going to overflow. I mean, nobody is going to design for a pipe of any size storm. They're only going to design for a pipe that's reasonable. And that's all we're asking for. So, but I don't want to belay that.
I agree.
Okay.
I just want to
mention
one thing. You mentioned, Lenny, you said a couple of times, the design that the state would do. The 10-year storm is the standard for DOT roadways. So that's what the state would do. However, that's not necessarily what towns do. So I just want to make sure that we're actually, the state standard is high. So gotta be
Yep. So that's why I'm saying is we just want him to tell us how we stand with the state, and how what decisions you made for this design. That's all. So all right, so I think that's enough on that. I don't want to keep beating on it, but unless anybody has anything desperately they want to add, I think Tom, you have enough information now. Okay. You're muted again, Tom.
Unmute, Darian. I will. First thing I'll do is see if he can attend the next meeting, and that would be more efficient. And secondly, if not, I'll forward these items to him. Maybe I can get responses in advance of the meeting.
Yeah.
In case we need more clarification, we can kind of go back and forth.
Okay. Yeah. And the only problem with that is, if something happens in the last minute and he can't make it, and then we don't have any comments, and we're at the end of our 60 days.
No, I would get
period.
the and if you can't attend, I'll get the comments,
Okay.
forward them in advance of the meeting in case we need clarification for the meeting.
Yeah, and there was one other comment Mike made about, or maybe Cheryl, about the retaining wall. I want to add a note about the retaining wall.
Yeah, that's in phase 2. Actually, the outlet will be back farther from where the retaining wall is, I think. Probably some of the retaining wall had come out, but I don't know, but I'll add that.
Okay.
For clarification.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody. All right. So unless anybody has objection, I'd like to move on to item number 5. Okay. So we'll move on to item number 5, which is new business. Now, apparently there was a plan that was put on the wetland desk that it was just a plan with no application. And so, I guess nothing for us to look at. So I'm going to make sure that Bruce, gets in there and finds out what the plan was for, maybe contact the people that sent it in, and see where the application is. So at this point right now, we don't have any new business. Seems like there's two things that are pending, but I have not, I know Joe was in the office right at the end of last week, and he did not see anything except that one plan with no application. So that's all for new business. Under agents report, I don't think there is any. I would just refer back to Joe's notes from item 4 of last month, and so there isn't any agents report at the moment, and we are going to be revisiting 96 Knott Highway next month anyway. As far as member comments go, I just want to say that Tom and I did take a quick walk down Campert Drive, which is the town portion, and then Campert Lane, which is the association portion.
That's the reverse that.
Oh,
Lane.
sorry. Okay.
Lane is the town.
Lane is
Right.
town.
Yeah.
Okay. So the one big thing, of course, we saw was that there was a driveway that was constructed after the swale was put in, and basically just filled the swale in. There's no pipe or anything, and that is not good. That portion of the road is it's gravel. There's certainly signs that there is some washing out and erosion up there. Now this thing has a long history. There's 2 or 3 letters that went to the various selectmen. I can definitely see that the town did make some attempts to help the situation. They put some riprap, detention basins in there. I don't believe that there was much engineering involved with it. I think it was just, their hope that that the work that they did would be sufficient. But I'm not sure that it was, and especially with that driveway in there. I don't know how long that driveway's been like that either. So, but we're not gonna, what I told Tom was that, I don't want to start pushing that issue until we get this one, passed. So, okay, so once we get past this Ashford Lake Drive application, then we'll turn our attention to Campert Lane and Campert Drive. I did speak with the first selectman, and he was definitely willing to go out and walk the area with us. And he said he would take Joe would go with him too, not Joe Thoreau, but the Public Works Joe, and try to get up to speed as far as the history and all. And I did send everything that Tom sent me off to the NECOG engineer as well. He did come back with some comments, but I didn't really understand them all that well. And but again, I don't really want to go into that until we get Ashford Lake Drive finalized. So I'll call the engineer from NECOG, see if we can get anything from him. But even if we don't, I think that the Ashford Lake Association's engineer is probably going to be good enough, at least for this. So that's the report on those. So are there any other member comments?
I'm just curious, Sonny, when we're going to be able to meet in person.
I asked Bill Fletty that same question the last time I spoke to him. Did not know. He keeps telling me he's hopeful and he wants to see us, meeting in person. He said last time I talked to him, believe it or not, he said that there was a report of another outbreak someplace in the state, and that he's just being ultra, conservative, I guess, on that point. So I'm hopeful too, but certainly as soon as I know, I'll let you guys know.
So no other commissions are meeting in person at all?
Well, they're doing, no, they're not. And we said, well, why don't we do the hybrid? The town actually sent us a memo a while ago about the various ways that you can have meetings, one of which is this hybrid thing. But even that, other towns are doing it, but we're not. So it's kind of a combination of, in person and on video, but not in Ashford.
I'd prefer to go one way or the other. I would prefer to be meeting in person, obviously.
Yeah.
But the hybrid approach is just messy for everybody. I think it's probably easier if we can't go full in person for some reason right now, then it's probably easier just to stay on.
We'll cross the bridge if and when we get to it. Cheryl, you look like you had a question.
No, I just wanted to mention that I signed up to attend the Freedom of Information seminar. I don't know if anyone else has done that. I mean, not that I have anything that I have to do with regard to that, but it looked like a valuable seminar that we could get some information from. I don't know if anyone else is following.
Yeah, very good. Yes, appreciate that. And I did see your memo on it. All right. Any other questions or comments from anybody? Even anybody? No. Okay. Then item number 8 is adjourn. If we can have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Could I say one more?
Sorry. Yep. Go ahead.
Does anybody on this committee or anyone listening in happen to know if the American Rescue Plan and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act are the same or different items?
I don't know, but that might be something you could talk to the town about.
Okay, well, in my letter to Mr. Folletti on Campert Lane, I referred to having just read a newspaper article about how the state of Connecticut was getting $5 billion in infrastructure money.
Yeah.
Because they always tell us we don't have money to deal with Campert.
Yeah.
For years and years and years, they don't have money to deal with Campert. There's longer driveways in town than Campert Lane. And so I suggested that maybe some of the money that would be coming from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act might be allocated for that. And then there's a meeting going on tonight in the town of Ashford to discuss allocating money from the American Rescue Plan funds. And I don't know if that's the same money or different money, but they're spending $68,000 to pave a patio at Knowlton Hall, and they're fixing some pickleball courts and so forth for 24 grand, but there's nothing on there about Campert Lane. So, just saying.
Well, Tom, why don't you do this? Can you just remind me of that? Just send me an email. Just remind me of it.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll try to follow up on that. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get them.
These might be different sets of.
Yeah, I don't know what all the money is allocated for or anything. But I will at least ask the question. Just please remind me of it.
Sure, I'll send you an email.
Okay. All right. So again, we're looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting tonight.
I'll do that, Lenny.
Thank you, Peter. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Bob, thank you. Okay. All those in favor of joining the meeting tonight? Aye. Great. Thank you all very much.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.